have some questions for you. How do you feel about yourself culturally? Have you felt who you are culturally? Where did your ancestors come from? Do you care about your ancestral lineage? How do you address yourself culturally? How did you choose to address yourself culturally? Was it from the knowledge of your family history and ancestry? Or was it from stereotypes brought on from society or peers, or even stereotypes from society and peers that have gotten into the way your family may address yourself culturally? Have you honestly looked at yourself and your culture or cultures that make up who you are culturally versus what society and stereotypes say about you culturally? Have you challenged society's stereotypes about how you address yourself culturally? I'd like to address a more sacred and confident approach on acknowledging the cultures, or just the culture that makes up who you are as an individual. I would love to address the multicultural details versus the stereotypical look. There are so many people, so many beings in this world that have a cultural ancestry that comes from many diverse backgrounds from all over the world. So even if a person has many cultures and ancestry that comes from all around the world and make up them into a very diverse, multicultural being, often and sometimes, depending on the place or the situation or the people, I still see a person getting commonized by their dominating look. Now that's alright if they're into that. I personally am speaking up for those who like to honor each and every part of their culture that make up who they are. Because if that's how you feel, that's who you are. If you feel like one part of your culture more than another part of your culture, if you're a multicultural being, culture, it's up to you as an individual. I'm making this video for those who like to acknowledge everything that they are. This is about a multicultural approach to honor all of the details of who a person is culturally and sacredly, rather than the stereotypes that people like to put on them. So, if you address yourself culturally, how do you address yourself? Did it come from your family and your family's history and the things that you were taught about yourself? Or is it coming from what you're getting through media and movies and stereotypes and the pressures of peers and the people around you who are trying to tell you what you are? Take your culture back into your own hands. Know where your ancestors came from. And know exactly every culture that makes you up, if that is possible. I mean, there are blood tests out there. You can talk to your family. It depends on your situation. But this is what I offer from my perspective and from my point of view as a multicultural being. You know, I will definitely say that one of the greatest things that my mom and my dad did is they taught me where my ancestors came from. They taught me all of the cultures that make up who I am and all of the wonderful ways of honoring the divine. You know, I grew up with so many backgrounds, and so if a person just wants to just say, you know, this is what you are, just from looking at me, well, I disagree. I'm definitely going to go through the whole list of everything that I am culturally when you get to know me more. I'd like to speak up on this because stereotypes are just a very lazy and inconsiderate way that people like to address other people. See, my approach in this video, I feel, is a radical approach. And one of the reasons I'm making it is because I see often, not in all cases, there's a mutt mentality, or a dominating stereotype mentality, or a very unconscious or subconscious one-drop theory mentality still going on. I would like to raise awareness to it, that if a person is, say, you know, half French, or 10% Egyptian, and 15 Ethiopian percent, and say, you know, another third of that is Welsh, and some more is Native American, and they have some dominating features. You know, they look like one culture, because one just made, you know, DNA just does what it does. It does its own magic with the alchemical power of the mom and the father, and a person comes out looking, say, like one particular culture over the rest, because things happen like that. We have this magical DNA, And say they go out into the world and say, oh, you look like that, so I'm going to call you that. And you look like this, so you must do this, and this is what your dominating look is, so this must be who you are. So I'd like to raise awareness to point out that people who have more than one culture or multiplicities of culture, that it's good to honor all of that. Some people have their own reasons. They may prefer a culture over another and say, I'd like to dominate in this and call myself this. Now, that's quite fine. You can do that. But I'm speaking on behalf of those who would like to be honored as everything that they are. I would like to raise awareness to the sacredness of all the cultures that make a person who they are. That amazing being may have, African skin and African hair, and freckles on their nose and on their cheeks, and auburn tones in their hair from their Welsh, and say blonde hair on their arms from their French background. You can look deeper into a person, but I'm not asking you to assume what another person is. It's really, really good, honestly, if you see a person and you don't know exactly what their culture is, to ask. Actually, that is so respectful. People be actually almost more than happy to answer with that approach. If you go up to a person and you go by their dominating look and you get into the stereotype mode, that could be, you never know where a person's history comes from, or the way that they were raised, or what their triggers might be. And even though we're all responsible for our own feelings, there is this feeling, an approach that's respectful, where you can ask a person what they are instead of assuming. You never know what multiplicities of combinations of cultures can go into a person. Also, some people do have stereotypical mentalities because that was the way that they were brought up. They weren't raised to be brought awareness to the cultures that make up who they are, so they may not be taught to care or seem to care. And then there are those with the awareness of their culture. I'd like to raise awareness to this just so people can appreciate the sacredness of their culture. Because sometimes there's this mutt mentality going on. It's just a mutt when you go through, say, your list of 10 different cultures that make up who you are, but it's that's so just dismissing the sacredness and the beauty of all the ancestry and all of what they've gone through and how they've brought themselves into you to be here, to do all the things that they didn't do in this present moment in life, to honor all of your cultures and to appreciate them. I've noticed that those who tend to care about their culture and care about their ancestry will respect and honor you and yours. I'd like to create this movement called Ask instead of ignorantly assume. So as far as stereotypes go, they have a few guideposts, and then there's a point where they actually go into the land of no return because they get very degrading. Please understand that people are individuals. People come from so many experiences in life. Please give heed to that people are individuals. There are things that cultures do en masse. That's what makes a culture beautiful. Remember how beautiful these cultures are. Also, remember that people are individuals. And that stereotypes do not work for everybody. There are people that have had experiences in life that take them above and beyond what you see on this planet. Give heed to that. Ask. If you keep saying, this is who I am culturally. I'm from here, ancestrally, and here, and I have this amazing background, and people still look at you and they get mesmerized, but you're this. And they act like they just don't hear you. They don't hear you. They just want to go by this. You have to understand that there's people out there that are just like that. They may not get it just because they just don't get it, and people who get it will get it. So, invest, please, your efforts and your time and your energy into those who honor you, and let go of those who don't. And remember, I'm not saying it's bad. Just stick with what serves you. If I feel that French beauty in my lineage, if I feel that Welshness and I see my freckles come out when I spend time in the sun, if I feel that wonderful Egyptian, ancient, beautiful power, that's how I am. When you don't act like your stereotype, because that just isn't how you feel or who you are, and people approach you with the stereotype of your dominating look, please understand that that's just where they are, and that's how they see, and that's what they know, and they got it from their surroundings. This is the time to speak up about the truth and awaken their paradigm if they are so open to it, or to just move on. Intuitively, you will know what to do. But when you honor your cultures, you're empowered. Because you break away from the stereotypical degrading and the herd mentality and the mutt mentality and the common denominator mentality and the rounding down mentality. Come on now. We don't round down ourselves, alright? Well, let's upgrade and empower ourselves.